Deepcool is doing pretty good in terms of its design language this year, but good design doesn't really always mean good stuff. So let's have a closer look at the CG560, which is a mid-tower case, because nothing matters more than knowing stuff up close. Hey everyone, Mukul here. Well, in the box apart from the case, you get a nicely laid out manual and the typical screws you expect with a few cable ties. And the very first thing I noticed about this case was how wide it is. I mean, it's almost as wide as John Cena's face, but I'm pretty sure you can't see that, as you can't see him. So you will not face any troubles putting in even a Noctua D15 in it, as even with the fan, that cooler measures to about 165 mm in height, and the case supports air coolers up to 175 mm tall. I like the simplistic industrial design of the case overall, and I'm not willing to say anything bad about it, because really there's nothing to say bad about it, and if there was, then I would have said it, because really, who's stopping me? The grille in the front follows the Deepcool design language, which I have loved all these years. It's absolutely clean with no logo stamped on it until you focus on the top of the case. But it has been put there pretty nicely and aptly. The front panel is all plastic and is pretty lightweight, but it snaps in pretty tightly. And yeah, it's pretty flexible, so if you love flexing all the odd things in your life, then don't forget to flex the panel too. And inside the front panel, you will find a magnetic dust filter with quite wide holes, so I expect a lot of dust to accumulate inside of the case if you live in a dusty environment. But be a bit careful when you remove these holding tapes, as they can easily tear these filters off if you pull them carelessly, which I did for the top one. Sorry, Deepcool. But yeah, there are definitely a buttload of slits across this area and around the fans. This case definitely has an airy affair, or an affair with the air, or a fairy affair. What? The two USB 3.0 ports embed the new green color Deepcool uses now on its logo too. But yeah, it kinda saddens me a little that these ports are still 3.0 and not those USB 3.1, Gen 1, Gen 2 or USB 3.1.2. Gen 1. There is no reset button, and the mic in and the audio out jack are the same. And via this LED button, you can control the lighting of these three pretty sad fans, which Deepcool decided to put in this case. These three RGB fans on the front are some of the cheapest RGB fans you can find out there from Deepcool, and you should absolutely not expect any sort of good performance from them. And the lighting from them won't be that visible too, and mainly because of two reasons, which are that the fiber panel in the front is completely opaque, and because the fans aren't that bright themselves. And if you're running a chip inside the case which can heat up a lot, and if you also rely on air cooling like me, then make sure you upgrade these fans to something better for sure. Which could also be a trio of some really high performing non-RGB fans too, as clearly RGB isn't something which this case might love to outshine on. Outshine, as there is no shine which can outshine outside of this case. Get it? The fan at the rear is 140 mm and comes with a Molex connector, so I hope you use a power supply which still has it, and if not, then buy adapters and stuff especially for this one fan. The side tempered glass is pretty thick and heavy, and it sits on the ledge at the bottom. Inside the case there is a ton of space for a lot of stuff you might plan to put in the case, namely a motherboard, a processor, a graphic card, an air cooler or a liquid cooler, or same sort of stuff. The quality of the motherboard tray is pretty solid too, as it was pretty hard to flex it or bend it, so yeah, this is somewhere you can't really flex with this case. And trust me, that's a good thing. On the front you can either put 3 120mm fans or 2 140mm fans, or a 280mm radiator up top, or a 360mm radiator on the front, or even just a 120mm or 140mm radiator on the back. That is if you live inside computer cases and you need the rest of the space for your bed and blankets. And no matter how big as your GPU is, this case wouldn't have any trouble supporting it. The top ventilation area is again super wide with a large magnetic filter there, and again the squarish holes underneath them are quite big. So I guess this case will definitely love an air purifier if you live in a dusty environment. And yes, I am stressing this again because if you love air cooling, then the air naturally and generally loves dust too, and other sort of pollutants which you can find in your air, especially if you live in a city like Delhi like me. So yeah, that would suck for this case. The feet on the base are long and tall, which again support the airy affair of the case. And the dust filter is quite tiny and isn't magnetic, but boy oh boy, these holes on the bottom of the case are wide as f. The feet have this soft foam kind of padding, which isn't going to be as solid as a rubber pad which I have witnessed on other feet of the other cases. There's a RGB controller pre-installed on the right side of the case. in case you don't have a ARGB compatible motherboard. But if you do, then there's a cable provided which lets you hook these fans to a 5-volt header on the motherboard. And there are a decent amount of slits for managing cables on the right side of the case. My friend from Hardware Mana had shifted his entire system properly in this case, and he was pretty satisfied with the amount of slits and holes which are there on the case for cable management. There are these 2 vertical slits to accommodate a GPU holder, which doesn't come with the case, but there is no provision to mount a GPU vertical in this case if you ever plan to do that. The 2 white rubber grommets have a single vertical cut on them and no horizontal cuts. And then there are 7 expansion slots on the back for the 7 expansions you might or might not plan on the case. Well, as already claimed, the case is quite spacious and hence it should have been able to support more than 2 3.5-inch hard drives in it. But yeah, unfortunately, they clearly lazed out there and missed a good opportunity to add support for more than 2 3.5-inch drive support in this case, which to be honest could have become a huge selling point for this case. So yeah, a good opportunity missed. So in total, you can add 5 2.5-inch drives here if you don't plan to put any 3.5-inch drive. And most of today's standard power supplies can breathe freely inside here, and you can also make a tiny house for a little cat or pup here too. So yeah, the decent amount of features the case offers and the really spaceful design it has. Plus, one might or might not like the fans it comes with, but really no one can ignore the fact that the case does come with 4 pre-installed fans on it. So yeah, adding all of these features and all these utilities the case came with, the CG560 seems fine for the price. So definitely the biggest USP of the case is its spaciousness and the super airy design. But yeah, the front RGB fans are a letdown, and for someone who might think to spend this much on a case can definitely expect better fan performance from the case too. I mean, in this price segment, a lot of people will be happily willing to spend a little more for better fans in the case. But it's really nice to see Deepcool doing fantastic in terms of designing their stuff, especially in this past year. And I have one more brand new case coming in soon in which I plan to do a whole build. So stay tuned, because that's what the television industry used to say or still says. And here I am copying them. You can also hop onto our Discord server for more chit chats on relevant content. Stay safe, humans, and stay spacious. That's all for today. MewBot out.